All right. So again, feel free to sit or lay down, whatever works for you. Maybe some props underneath the tailbone or your shoulders or your head, depending on how you're starting class. And then I'll invite you to find stillness, closing the eyes from there, or maybe just keeping the gaze soft, whatever is beneficial for you today. Maybe we take a few breaths here. Arriving into our intentions for practice. Whether you have something specific in mind, maybe you're just interested in noticing what is revealed to you throughout your time in quiet and stillness. Sometimes the intention is given to you, right, from your experience in the mind or the heart. But as we arrive here, just having a sub-theme to our practice, thinking about or weighing the differences between changing and channeling. Maybe you find similarities within the definitions of those words, changing and channeling. Maybe you just observe how they feel, even within the body. Right? What does changing mean to you? And then what does channeling mean? And sometimes we're so focused on the change of the thought, the change of the habit, the change of the emotion, the change of whatever. Almost thinking about it from this like external space of change. But what happens when we channel? Now we might be using more of our energy from the internal space, and that's what actually causes the shift. How we channel our awareness, or how we channel and use it. Where do we put our focus? So, and we could probably have a couple more ideas to that, explanations of that. But we'll just kind of let that marinate here. And maybe within your shapes and within the stillness of the practice, you can kind of go back and forth within yourself between what change means to you, what channel means to you. How are they similar? How are they different? And maybe at times, one is more useful than the other. And so with that in mind, let's open up our space with a full cleansing breath. Together, we'll breathe in through the nose and open the lips to exhale. Again, like that, deep breath in. And a deep breath out. This third time, hands can stay relaxed within the lap, or hands can gather into prayer. Maybe lifting the heart up towards the knuckles of your thumbs. Opening our space for practice with another cleansing breath, or joining me for the sound of Om as we breathe in. Om. Very gently bowing the chin to your chest. Taking a moment here to allow the breath or the vibrations to arrive, letting them settle within the heart space, and allowing them to seal our intentions for practice. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes, bringing the hands away. If you are laying down, slowly come back up to sit. And as we begin our practice, I'll just let you know I see my battery light blinking, but we'll play with fire. And as I said, we'll play with fire. I just wanted to see if I could at least teach the first pose before I have to switch batteries. So that's what I'll do. I'll get us in the first shape, and then I'll kind of switch this around. I'll talk a little bit louder in case that's helpful in terms of the microphone for the computer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start in half dragonfly. Just so you know, we're gonna end up finishing half dragonfly and taking that into straight leg pigeon. I'll explain that once we get there, but for right now, we'll start in half dragonfly. So right knee bends and the shin comes in, left leg out long, right? Not necessarily right in front of you, but a little bit wider within the V type of shape. You might take a pillow or a blanket, prop your tailbone. And whether you're using blocks or not, maybe stacking pillows. I'm excited. My energy's going to ground once we start, once we get in the first pose. Stacking your pillows, stacking your blankets, whatever you're using today. I'm just preparing for the stretch. So whether you're sitting a little bit more upright, maybe the props are a little bit farther away, and as you fold, your forehead comes down. Maybe you're somewhere in between, and as your elbows, are supported, your head will rest within your hands. So just doing whatever is best for you. Maybe you're going to stack the props a little bit higher to support something like your forehead. So finding the best shape. Feel free to explore different variations within using the props. And whether you decide to sit taller within the spine or fold or somewhere in between, you'll do what's best for you. And then whenever you're ready, you'll close your eyes. And you'll welcome yourself to stillness. I'll switch this on as you begin to notice your stretches. Okay. So as we settle into our half dragonfly shape, allowing these sensations to speak for themselves. Noticing our shift of energy. Right? And myself included, this expansiveness, this external perspective of it all. And then notice this other ability to draw inwards, to begin to perceive the physical stretch of the fascia. Noticing how we can support ourselves through the stretch as we soften. Allowing yourself to let go of any clenching. Sometimes the clenching of certain bones or muscles we're bringing in with us. Sometimes the clenching is revealed based on the shape of your body, based on the sensations of your stretch right now in this particular shape of half dragonfly. Shape of your body, meaning the pose that we're in. The mind not needing to analyze where the particular clenching is coming from. That will kind of lead us into the space of changing it, but instead, can we channel it? And can we draw our awareness elsewhere. And so we'll stay here for a few more breaths. And whenever you're ready, we'll begin to press down into our props, into the floor, and we'll start to lift up through the head and chest. And then you might take a moment just to sit tall. If your arms want to stretch up above the head, feel free. But instead of these movements taking us into rebound, we're going to transition into straight leg pigeon. So you might move some props to the side. But you can keep a pillow to the left side of you, maybe a block if you want that pillow raised. And as you hug your left leg in, we're going to let ourselves tip to the left and fold right over to that outer left thigh, bend the right knee behind you, and we'll transition here into straight leg pigeon. Now at that point, right, if you have that pillow or blanket underneath you from Dragonfly, half Dragonfly, you might use it here also to prop. The left knee and toes, right, rather than keeping them up to the ceiling, let them roll with you as you fold over the thigh, and maybe propping your forehead or propping your forearms. The pillow can lay along the length of your mat or the width of your mat, depending on which way you want to turn it. And then after straight leg pigeon, we'll then take the rebound. For now, we'll settle into another stretch. Noticing the sensations now through the outer thigh or the inner thigh. Sensation of stretch through the hips, the glutes, anywhere along the back or shoulders. As you're observing these sensations, notice how we're not looking to change the discomfort. We want to validate it. But we can channel it. The energy that we're using, instead of staying clenched, we're letting the body soften. Continuing to let the fascial tissue elongate and lengthen. Noticing that just because the stretch might be uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that the entire body is in discomfort. And so sitting with this, staying with this, we're here for a few more breaths. Maybe you take one more full cycle of breath. And then when you're ready, we'll gently begin to press down and then walk ourselves up and out of the shape. And this is when you can start moving a little bit more freely, letting your arms and legs move as however they may. Whether you're taking those counter movements from sitting, maybe shifting the body and then coming to lay down, hugging the knees into the chest. Maybe your body brings you forward into child's pose. Again, just following this ripple effect. And as the fascia contracts back, taking our own counter movements to then transition into rebound. Feeling these subtle sensations on the entire left side or all of the body. Your nervous system shows that it's responding based on, a deep cleansing breath that was involuntary. Maybe a yawn. So just take another moment here as you observe. And if you'd like to stay a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to. Or when you're ready, we'll gently begin to awaken. And no rush. Sometimes waking up out of rebound, will guide you into a few counter movements as well. But we'll all come back up to sit. Eventually, take your time, no rush. And then from there, we'll let ourselves prepare for half dragonfly on the right side or whatever side you didn't do yet. So coming to possibly sit at the edge of a pillow or blanket, left knee now bends, right leg comes out into this half V, right? It's not like a Janu shape or Janu Sirsasana, not coming from that direction of it, a little bit wider. So taking our blocks, pillows, blankets, whatever you're using, towels, sweaters. And even if you don't have blocks, you might just be stacking things or folding things on your shin or on your thigh. Maybe things are a little lower to support your forehead. But no matter what, the fascia is always activated within our movements, within the shape that we're taking within the body. One part is elongating, the other part is compressing. So just finding that best place to begin, where you begin to feel the stretch itself, hovering between comfort and discomfort. If we have a goal in mind, if there's something we want to accomplish, even if it's coming to class, we're channeling our efforts and our purpose and our focus towards that experience or object or thing. And so as we channel our awareness as well, instead of focusing elsewhere, focusing here, and letting ourselves rediscover these layers of the body. This spaciousness that can be reclaimed as we stretch through the fascial tissue. And through this experience, you can check in with the breath from time to time. We'll be in our half dragonfly for a few more moments. There's still time to observe and witness. And then whenever you're ready, we'll gently begin to press down, starting to walk our head and chest up. And before even moving too much, your arms might want to reach up above the head. Maybe you even twist to the left. Whatever feels good, even with the counter movements. But then we'll take any props that are around us to start to transition into straight leg pigeon, right? Using different energy. It's not taking us into rebound, but taking us into another stretch. So we're going to bring that right leg in now. And then as we tip over to the right, we'll bring our props with us. Reaching to that outer right hip, left knee bends inwards. And then we'll readjust. Maybe propping that right hip with a blanket. For whatever reason, if your left knee, right, doesn't touch the floor, you might use a pillow or a block just to create contact there so it can rest. It doesn't have to be a block, but it could be anything. And then making sure that your right foot here, right, your knee and toes aren't pointing up as you're folding. You can roll with it. And maybe a slight bend to that right knee. You don't have to lock the leg. Yeah, no rush at all. Using blocks, pillows, blankets, whatever it is to support forearms or forehead, or maybe even the chest and the belly, depending on how much you're folding. And then we'll let ourselves arrive. And softening whenever you're ready. Letting go of any clenching, any gripping. Whether you primarily feel the sensations, maybe through one leg or both legs, one hip, both hips. Just knowing that those are the areas where the fascia needs to release first for you. Staying present here. The quiet has a lot to offer along with the stretch. We'll be in straight leg pigeon for a few more breaths. And then maybe you're taking one more full cycle of breath. And whenever you're ready to release, begin to do so. And once the body's ready to move, the palms and arms can engage, the legs and feet can engage. And sometimes the second side guides you out a little bit differently than the first side, or maybe it is the same. But taking any mindful movement, wherever the body takes you, it doesn't have to be another yoga pose. It could just be intuitive movement, relaxing movement, swaying. But eventually we'll arrive into rebound, wherever you'd like to take that shape. Take that moment of resonance. Noticing the subtle sensations as the fascia contracts back. It is this moment where we really get to notice the physical response and the energetic response of the body. How they go hand in hand. If you'd like to stay in rebound a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But whenever you're ready, we'll gently press down and we'll start to walk ourselves up and out of the shape. And feel free to take any counter movement as you release from that. We're going to come into another double pose and then the rebound. So this will be dove and then a couple options after dove into one of our twists. Cattail will be one of those options. So if you use a strap, I use an elastic band. Maybe you have a towel, a blanket. You might not even need it anyway, but you might already be practicing with one. So you can keep that close by. But from there, before we even get into the twist, we're going to start talking about dove. So we'll let ourselves lay down. Knees will bend, feet will come flat to the floor, right? You might use a pillow for the back of the head if that's comfortable. And then you'll take your left knee and open your left knee out to the side, right? So as this left hip opens, if you need a blanket or pillow underneath the leg to support you, feel free to do that. Now your left foot might relax where it ends up, or your left foot will walk underneath your right thigh a bit. And that might change your stretch, deepen the stretch. So you can kind of explore where this left foot goes. And then from there, your palms can rest on the body, off the body, up above the head. Whatever will feel good for you. And at times, if that brings, your low back, asking for support, especially because of the shift of the hips, you might take a blanket or a pillow and just prop. No right or wrong way to prop the body, no right or wrong way to stretch. But you can decide for yourself what is right today and what might not be. I'm not looking to change ourselves to be in one stretch or one variation. Just channeling our awareness and presence, and from that, making our decisions. I'm beginning to soften here if you haven't already. Just relaxing into the layers of muscle, the layers of bone. All of the components to the body, instead of being clenched within the netting of our fascial tissue, they get to settle again and become more suspended. And sometimes it feels like we're almost gripping onto the stillness. But as we soften, we find that the stillness is holding you here within the body. And we'll be here for a few more breaths in dove. And whenever you're ready, to begin to release from dove for a few brief moments, the palms can lower down to the outer hips. The left hand might reach for the left knee as we hug the knee in towards us. As we hug the left knee into the chest, the right knee might hug in as well, and feel free to rock gently side to side along the back body. And these counter movements aren't guiding us into rebound, but feel free to take as many as you'd like, just holding that space of resonance. And then when you feel ready, come back into dove, because this is where we're going to guide ourselves in the twist. So open that left knee out to the side again. Maybe your left foot walks underneath the thigh. Okay. So I'm going to talk about cattail, and then from cattail, we'll then talk about the other variations, but we're going to get into it from dove. So cattail here. You might press down into the right foot and just kind of start to scooch a little bit on your left hip as if you were coming into the twist. Your right hand can reach down for your left foot, right? And almost like you're going to hold it as leverage. And at that point, if you know you're going to want to hold the foot, or maybe the foot feels too far away, you can always use that strap or towel or elastic band to create the contact. But from there, as we hug the right knee into the chest, we'll continue to twist over to the left, right? Now our legs here are really in this pinwheel type of twist, but if you keep the contact with the foot or ankle, right, whether you're using that via a strap, some component of that, or you're still holding on to the foot, now we're not necessarily in pinwheel, but once we let go of the foot, then we're more in a pinwheel twist. So the point of this, you don't have to have the foot, you don't have to make it cattail. At any time, if the hand is like, I'm done with this, just let the shoulder relax. In the event that none of those twists of cattail or pinwheel interest you, you can always come into supine, bringing one knee on top of the other as we twist to the left. A question that is asked a lot that you might have right now is, what if my shoulder isn't touching the floor? If your right shoulder needs a blanket or a pillow underneath it to feel supported, find it. And if it's kind of just hanging in the air, that's okay too. You might get the stretch because of it. Your left arm might relax near the body or away from the body. Sometimes this right arm does want to be activated to hold on to that back foot. And if it doesn't, just let it release. Right? The arms can open out into T. So finding the best twist for you right now, if you need any pillows or blankets to support the right leg or both legs, however. And I already have the timer going. We've been here for about a minute. Notice what that minute felt like. Continuing to find your meditation. Maybe consistently recognizing the body, observing, witnessing. Letting the muscles of the face and jaw soften to help you do this. Relaxing through the shoulders and collarbones. And just letting the torso relax. In the front of the pelvis and the back of the pelvis. Even into the skin behind the knees. Body parts softening. Relaxing all the way down to the soles of the feet. And we'll be in our twist for a few more breaths. And then whenever you're ready. If you're in cattail still, you might let go of that left foot. Slowly awaken the arms. And let yourself begin to fully unravel from the twist. These counter movements now will guide our energy and our presence into rebound. So as you come back to center, the legs might straighten. Maybe you hug the knees into the chest. Maybe the feet reach up to the ceiling. Whatever feels good. You might even find some movements within the arms and the wrists. And if you still need more counter movement, allow yourself to take that. You'll settle into rebound whenever you feel ready. Where we feel the echoes of the fascia. Where we feel the shifts within the breath. And if you'd like to stay and rebound a little bit longer here, you're more than welcome to do so. But when you're ready, we might take a few counter movements. If you're still laying on your back, you might bring your feet flat to the floor and lift your tailbone up a bit just to get a little bit of an extension through the spine. Essentially, it's bridge, but taking any counter movement. So from there, readjusting, we're going to start with dove on the right. So we'll open that right knee out to the side, and then from there, we'll unravel and come into our twist. Right foot might stay exactly where it is, or it will walk underneath this left leg here. Propping right knee, right thigh, left hip, back of the head, whatever is most comfortable. Not only supporting the stretch, but also supporting our bone structure. How you're energetically feeling. But from there, whether the hands relax on the body, off the body, up above the head. Maybe the arms taking this cactus shape. Whatever it is, we'll close our eyes once you feel settled. If closing the eyes doesn't interest you, just keep the gaze soft. Giving ourselves this undivided attention. And if you haven't softened into your shape, begin to do so. Relaxing through the layers of the front body and the layers of the back body. And as we release from these unnecessary tensions, the energy, even within the body, is channeled. Instead of it being spent on keeping the knot of tissue, now we're rejuvenating the tissue instead. We're assisting in the function of an organ or a system within the body. And checking in with your breath. Checking in with the gaze, with the backs of the eyelids here. Witnessing ourselves, few more breaths in dove. And then whenever you're ready, you might take a full cycle of breath before awakening through the arms. Eventually, as the hands reach to the hips, we'll help our right leg unravel here. And it can feel good to hug that knee into the chest, hug both knees in. If rocking or swaying side to side is comforting to the body, feel free. It's almost like the same effect when you rip off a Band-Aid, but then you rub your skin, right? The area that kind of like stings. It's kind of like that. If you'd like to stretch your legs up to the ceiling, feel free. Roll into the wrists, roll into the ankles, whatever it is. But as you feel the release of dove, we're going to come back into that other stretch. So bring your feet flat to the floor. Again, right knee opens out to the side. That foot is going to start to walk underneath the left thigh. Now, your left hand might reach for the bottom right foot. Maybe it's the big toe or the ankle, or you'll use your strap or whatever prop you have for that. As you start to scooch on your right hip, left knee comes high into the chest so that even if you let go of that foot, the back foot, we're in pinwheel here. Any pillows or blankets underneath the left knee or the in between the thighs, whatever is helpful for your twist. And if you'd rather come into supine here, feel free to bring the knees as high into the chest. The nice thing about twisting is we do it in so many different classes that it's pretty familiar to us. At least in yin, we might hold it a little longer, maybe, depending on the class you're in. So you know what's the best twist for your body. Feel free to do any variations for today. Letting the arms relax near you or away from you, one arm, both arms. And any props underneath the left shoulder, if needed. Noticing where the chin might relax. Noticing the textures of the breath. Maybe even feels like the heart is beating somewhat differently. The clenching or the gripping, at least if it's constant, it might almost feel like we are isolating ourselves from ourselves. And notice how the softening allows our body to be welcomed, or maybe our awareness to be welcomed. Opening the doors a little bit. It's almost like the connotations of change and channel as well. Change is maybe at times somewhat isolating. I need to change that about myself, and whatever that opposite is, it's so far away, right? Because I don't have it already, because I need to change myself in order to get it. But when we come from this place of channeling, then we're honoring that everything is already within us. And we get to choose what we relate to, what we don't. We get to choose how we want to be, how we don't, within a given minute, a given day, or a time frame. So with that, just another breath or two here. And then when you're ready, let's release from our twist. And if your left arm is reaching for your back right foot, we can slowly unravel. Maybe one arm lifting at a time, one leg lifting at a time. Just taking any natural movement. Letting these subtle sensations guide you the same way you would when listening to a song. Maybe your arms wrapping around your chest, if that will feel good for the shoulder blades. Taking any movements for your legs until body arrives into rebound. Noticing the subtle sensations. The physical stretch and movement of the tissue alchemizing into these subtle sensations or reverberations, bouncing off the walls within the body. If you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. Whenever you're ready, we might take some movement. Again, we can press into the feet and lift the hips as much as we'd like. If we want to extend through the hips and extend through the spine, if that feels good. Readjust the shoulders. So we'll allow ourselves to take another stretch here. Let's come into our reclined butterfly. So we might already be on our back. If not, you'll arrive. And then the soles of the feet will come together. And as the knees open out to the sides, you might need blocks or pillows to the outer legs. We might need a pillow or blanket underneath the spine, depending on if your back naturally arches in that way and if it needs the support. If you feel really grounded here and you just want to be here, feel free. If you do want to forward fold, you're more than welcome to rearrange the body and do that instead. Arms relaxing in any way, maybe even taking cactus if you're on your back still. Noticing this openness, this expansion. Breathing towards those more quieter or more subtle sensations, or breathing towards the sensations that are a little bit more dense. A little bit more on that uncomfortable layer in the seesaw of comfort and discomfort. And you can channel the breath in any way you need it, whether it's breathing deeper, maybe it's more like an ujjayi breath or a certain pranayama you connect to. And other times you can channel the breath to just be very light and airy. It's almost barely there as we continue to relax. And as both options live within inside of your body and within inside of this experience, you can choose at any given moment whatever you need. And we'll be here in our butterfly for a few more breaths. And whenever you're ready, palms will reach down to the outer knees, the outer hips. And we'll gently release from the shape all together, moving one arm at a time, one leg at a time, whatever it might be. If you're on your back, you might gently windshield wiper the knees here. Maybe you find a few other counter movements laying down, a few other counter movements sitting up, whatever the body is calling for. And as we take these last final counter movements, any other cleansing breaths, we'll begin to settle into our final rebound of practice, taking Shavasana. So whether that's to lay on your back or your belly or your side body, any pillows or blankets or anything that might support you here, or no props at all. And close our eyes. And transitioning into our final shape of active rest as we absorb our practice. Welcoming ourselves into these quiet and meditative moments of Shavasana. Very gently. And let's begin to deepen the breath. Noticing the way in which our body has relaxed. Noticing the placement of our hands and feet. We might let ourselves take some gentle movement as we start to wiggle into the fingers and toes and roll into the wrists and ankles. From there, the arms might stretch up and above the head, lengthening. Knees might bend in, and whether the feet stay flat to the floor or you might hug them into the chest once more. If it feels good, reaching the forehead up to the knees and stretching from the back body. And then gently rolling to one side, whether it's the left or the right. No rush. But we get to feel the release of the spinal column here, breath of fresh air. And whether you stay on the floor as you end practice or gently come back up to sit, feel free to do whatever is best. However you'd like to close your practice, any shape there. But as you come to that stillness, feel free to close the eyes. And taking that time of reflection. Noticing any reclaimed space, expansion, clarity. Palms can stay relaxed within the lap or maybe gather them into prayer. You can either close your practice with me in a sound of Om or take a cleansing breath. But together we'll breathe in. Om. And gently bowing the chin to the chest. Thank you for practicing with me this evening, being elevated through yoga. Namaste.